Come with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Hey there, and welcome back to a brand new Flick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. And with all that said, let me grab my caffeinated beverage and crack it open, because there's so much to talk about tonight. And I'm not going to stop until my heart explodes. How are you guys doing? Thanks for joining me for a very impromptu late night live show. And by the way, a few quick updates. I just uploaded a brand new 13-minute spoiler discussion breakdown of Thunderbolts, where I talk about some things I didn't like and some things I did like. And I cover the post-credit scenes, because it's an MCU movie and you just know you're going to have a few post-credit scenes. So don't get up to go pee. Wear a diaper, pee your pants, and enjoy those. But yeah, definitely check out that video. It's on the Flickpick channel. The link is down below. Please go check it out. Give it a like. And the second thing I want to talk about and give you guys a quick update for before we dive into your magical, juicy questions is I will be seeing a early press screening of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning this Monday in Chicago. So I'm driving 3 hours there. I'm probably going to get there a bit early because the last time I got there around 5 o'clock, I got stuck in rush hour traffic in the heart of Chicago, and it took everything inside of me not to just bash my head against the windshield and drive into the median screaming and then set myself on fire and run down the freeway. I almost did all of that. So I'm going to get there a bit early this time and maybe check out a few sites. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Maybe I'll eat some deep dish Chicago pizza, even though I think it's way too much bread with not enough cheese. Those are just my thoughts. And the next thing I want to tell you guys is I did see a new movie the other day, and I quickly just want to give you some very, very quick flicking thoughts on it. But anyway, that movie is a new movie starring Josh Hartnett, and I like how we're sort of having a resurgence of Josh Hartnett these days. The guy disappeared from Hollywood for like 20 years, and he came back. Do you guys remember that terrible movie he was in with Harrison Ford called Hollywood Homicide? Yeah, don't ever watch it. Anyway, when it comes to this new movie, Fight or Flight, it's sort of like Bullet Train on a plane, but with a smaller budget. Josh Hartnett carries the beat 'em up as an alcoholic protagonist with strong Keanu Reeves vibes. It definitely felt like he was harnessing his inner Keanu during this movie, just the way he talks about stuff. He's very passive and subdued, and his speech pattern was very Keanu Reeves. And I didn't mind any of that. I'm not sure if that was intentional or what have you, but anyway, he's definitely the best part of the movie. The over-the-top violence and comedy lands at times. I did like how zany it gets with some of the violence. And I feel like there were some missed opportunities, though, throughout the film, especially during the third act where he's on some hallucinogenics. And all these violent acts that he's committing against the bad guys, he's imagining some happy-go-lucky scene. Like, instead of bashing someone's head in and blood squirting out of their skull, he's imagining, like, dandelions or something. And that only lasts for, like, 3 seconds. I was hoping they did an entire montage with that. I think it was such a missed opportunity. But anyway, I felt like some of that worked, but the majority of the story sort of crash lands. and it gets a little messy, and they waste your time with a few things that they set up, but you don't really get a payoff for, and it's a bit all over the place. But it's a very low budgeted film, so with what they did accomplish, I quite enjoyed it. I like that it all took place on a plane, and the best way I can describe Fight or Flight is it sort of feels like one of those movies that you would have watched in 2007 or 8. And we talked about this on the last live show, but it was sort of like a shoot 'em up meets a Smoking Aces with a John Wick vibe. So that's the best way I can describe this movie. As far as going to the theater to watch it, I don't necessarily think you need to put pants on to go to the theater to watch this movie. I would put it like this. It's a really good straight to DVD or streaming movie. It's one of those movies that you and a couple buddies can order a pizza, hang out, eat some edibles, and watch this late at night, and you'll be mildly entertained. So those are my quick thoughts on Fight or Flight. I just thought I'd share that with you guys. And without further ado, let's just dive into your questions. How about that? Okay, and here we go. So the first one comes from Caleb. How's it going? John. Where do you see yourself in life when you are old and wrinkly? Well, I'm getting there. By the day, I'm getting closer and closer to that. Don't let these boyhood-like charm and sensibility and good looks fool you. No. I'm an old man underneath this facade. And one day, I hope to be the living incarnation of Clint Eastwood in the film Gran Torino. I will sit on my porch, looking at my lawn, just being bitter and angry at everyone who walks by. Because I'm slowly feeling that way every day about society. Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm hoping to get there one day. I'm halfway there. I really am. But really, to be honest with you, to give you the real answer, and not to be hyperbolic, I just want to be comfortable in life, and my tastes are very simple. I like to be comfortable. I like nice TVs. I like relaxing. I like bonfires in my backyard. I like walking around my neighborhood. So really, my tastes are very cheap. And as long as I can indulge in that simplistic, low-budgeted lifestyle and still crank out some YouTube videos along the way, I will be content and happy. But thank you for the question, man. The next one comes from Silvio. How's it going? Love the channel. Well, hey, the channel loves you too, Silvio, so thanks for joining, man. The next one is coming from I Am Realm. I feel like I always read this wrong. Or is it Eam Realm? I don't know. You know I can't read. Have you seen the trailer for Dangerous Animals? I have not. Let me check it out. Let's see what's going on with Dangerous Animals. Dangerous Animals trailer. I did see the new trailer for the Conjuring today. I thought that looked like another Conjuring movie, though I am mildly interested in seeing it. Listen, I'll always be down for a decent horror film, and when it comes to the first Conjuring, I really enjoyed it. But it feels like they have progressively gotten worse with every new installment. Okay, so Dangerous Animal stars Jai Courtney. Is this a shark movie? Hang on. I want you guys to join me in this. Oh, I love me a good shark movie. Okay. Okay, Captain Boomerang. Oh, it's a Shudder movie. Interesting. Let me skim through this. Oh, it's a horror film on a boat. There's some torture going on. It sort of looks like Jennifer Lawrence. I know it's not. Some more sharks. Okay, it looks like a cool thriller horror film that revolves around sharks with shark cages. Okay, I like it. I would watch this. This looks good. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for letting me know about it. I think it looks decent. I'd definitely watch that movie. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, just a theory from my stupid head to you. I'm willing to bet Jai Courtney, by the end of the film, gets eaten by a shark, right? It has to happen. All right, let's go to the next one here. By the way, if I ever die, I hope I'm eaten alive by a shark. I just feel like that's the best way to go. I really do. So yeah, we just watched that trailer. And the next question comes from Taylor Goodwin, who says, can you say the I'm gonna hurt her line from Mission Impossible 3? You know what? That's the least I can do for you, since we're talking about Mission Impossible. And by the way, I'm still debating if I want to buy the Mission Impossible popcorn bucket. I don't know. It doesn't look all that intriguing to me. And the little keys that you open it with, it comes with like these 2 heavy duty keys. I don't know. They just remind me too much of Dead Reckoning, which was one of my least favorite Mission Impossible movies. So, and the entire AI subplot in that film I thought was really underwhelming and not done very well. It felt like a lot of missed opportunity. It almost felt like the AI plot in the last Mission Impossible film was written by someone who doesn't understand what AI is. It's like their version of AI from 1995. But anyway.
John, glad to catch you. Live been watching.
Ooh, I got the robot voice happening on here. Okay. We'll dive into that question in just 1 second. But anyway, here's my Philip Seymour Hoffman impression from Mission Impossible 3. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her real bad. And scene. Thank you for the question. All right, let's do this one here. And you guys know, anytime we get a glorious super chat, $10 or over, you guys get the magical party popper. So here we go. Auteur Henry, thanks for the question, and you get party popped. 3, 2, 1. Blast off. Oh, there's nothing better in life than a hot party popper. Okay, let's put that down now. I missed you guys. I'm feeling frisky. And plus, I've been drinking energy drinks all day as I edited my video. So here it goes. Auteur Henry says, John, glad to catch you live. Been watching since I was 15. Will be 27 next month. I practically raised you. And tell your mother I said hello. Anyway, are you a fan of The Weeknd? If so, are you looking forward to his film Hurry Up Tomorrow, directed by Trey Edward Schultz? I am intrigued about that film. I had some reservations because it stars The Weeknd. Now, I am a huge fan of his music. I like his music. I think it has like this nice 1980s vibe to it. It's very relaxing. And quick little side story. The day after I got married, my wife and I stayed at this, like, I guess it's like a honeymoon pad. Basically a cool place where you just bang all weekend. But anyway, it comes with like this big jacuzzi. It had a huge bed. It had like a swimming pool inside. It had all these crazy amenities, like a steam room. It was pretty awesome. You just walk around naked. It was great and glorious. But on the sound system in this huge condo-like amusement park for adults, we basically listened to The Weeknd for like 2 days straight. It just was the right vibe at the right time. So there's that. But anyway, thanks for the question, and I am looking forward to the movie. And by the way, you've been watching for like 12 years. Thank you so much. And fun story, or I guess sort of a factoid, I will have been doing YouTube for 15 years this October. 15 years. It's crazy. Time flies. That's why you have to stop and look around every once in a while, or else it could pass you right by. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from JR, who says, John, how often do you shave your face? Probably like every 2 days. And I don't get really thick, manly facial hair. It's a little bit sparse and patchy. You know, I can always pull off like a 230 shadow if I let it go for a few days. But the thing is, like, if I let it go too long, I look like a burn victim trying to grow facial hair, and it's just not a good look. Now, I'm pretty sure if I just let it go for months and months on end and let it fill out, it'd be mediocre at best. But every 2 days I shave. For some reason, it just gets really itchy to me, and I'm really sensitive, and it just bothers me and starts eating me alive. So maybe when I'm like 49 years old, I'll grow a beard, but I'm trying to look good for you guys. I want to look nice and clean cut. I'm holding on to my youth. So leave me be. But yeah, every couple days. And I just use one of those Norelco adjustable trimmers. Bzz, 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 I don't know. That's what I do. Okay, the next one comes from... I love the questions I get in the live shows. I do. I really do. It's so random, but it's what I like about this. It's stimulating mentally and physically. Okay, here we go. Robert Giacinta. I said that, sir. I'm Robert Giacinta. Robert Giacinta. It's Giacinta. Yeah. You've only been watching for like 9 years, and I'll get your name right one day. I'm trying my best, but here it goes. Got the live notification while I was spanking the monkey. I'll have to pause for now to listen to the show. Why stop? Do as you please. Do as you please. But does my soothing voice help you? Don't stop, Robert. The end is coming soon. Figuratively and literally. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Robert. No, it comes from Social Native, who says, top 5 Robin Williams movies. Ooh, that's a good question. So I have to go with Hook. Hook is definitely one of my fundamental fun childhood magical memories when it comes to movies. And it's so underrated. I just don't feel like people give it the respect they should. You rude, crude bag of pre-food chewed dude, you Paranesian brain. Hey, Rufio, why don't you go suck on a dead dog's wet nose? I'm still trying to figure out whatever that means. Anyway, so I'm going to put Hook in there. I'd probably put Mrs. Doubtfire in there. There's so many great Robin Williams movies, man. And like, do you consider Aladdin from 1992 a Robin Williams movie? Even though he voices the genie, do you consider that like a full-fledged Robin Williams movie? I don't know. He has a part in it, but I don't want to take up one of the slots with Aladdin, though if I have to, I don't mind doing it. What else do we have? Robin Williams movies. I'm thinking of a whole bunch of movies right now, but it's not ones I'd probably put in my top 5. World's Greatest Dad. If you've never seen that, that's a dark comedy, to say the least. Not Flubber. Definitely not Flubber. I like Jack, but I would not put it in my top 5 Robin Williams movies. Dead Poets Society would probably be one of the better acting roles from Robin Williams. Man, there's so many great movies he's made. Like, I'll tell you another underrated Robin Williams movie, and that is Bicentennial Man. I think that is so underrated, and no one has seen that movie. Definitely check it out if you've never watched it. It stars Sam Neill. It's one of those films that sort of take place over a lifetime, and the whole moral question is, what does it mean to be a human? I love it. Then you have 1 Hour Photo, where Robin Williams plays a creepy dude who likes to imagine pooping on other people's toilets. But then again, haven't we all been there? Man of the Year I did not like. Ooh, but then you have Good Will Hunting. But then again, he has a role in it, but I wouldn't say that's a full-fledged Robin Williams movie. Or would you say that? Gosh. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with whatever 5 movies I just said in there. Even Jacob the Liar was pretty good. Insomnia, not bad. I mean, He's been in so many great films, but I will say safely that Hook is definitely like my number one, and I'm gonna stick to that. Double O7 says Bicentennial Man was amazing. It really is. It's a great movie. Just talking about it, I sort of feel like watching it right now, and I almost feel like with the entire conversation that we have these days revolving around AI, for example, I almost feel like you could do another interpretation of Bicentennial Man if you could like inject some of that AI vibe in there. I think it would almost be topical enough to remake. So yeah, I like Bicentennial Man quite a bit. 1 hour photo, hey, not bad. Murph says, John, I was just mowing my yard and thought of you. Don't get scared now. Hey, I was thinking about mowing my yard all day. I kept looking out the window. A few of my neighbors were mowing their lawn. I was getting a bit jealous, but I was editing a video because I had to get it out. And once again, please go watch the brand new video over on the Flickpick channel where I talk about spoilers from Thunderbolts and break down some of the post-credit scenes. I would appreciate it if you could go there, give the video a like. But also, I'm probably going to mow my grass tomorrow. I think I got everything done today. I got all my obligations taken care of. So tomorrow, I'm going to sit upon my riding lawnmower, load up a good podcast, and just let the rumble hit me down below and take me away. And then I cannot wait to weed whack and edge my yard. Oh, it's weird getting close to 40 years old. The things that just stimulate you, you would never assume when you're younger. It's scary and bizarre. So all I have to say to you, if you're watching, enjoy your youth while you still have it. Okay. Christian says, The Fisher King, I think, is underrated. Yeah, you know what? No one talks about it. I've seen it one time, though. Is that the one, or what's the movie where, and this might be it, I could be wrong, but what is the movie where Robin Williams is a homeless dude who used to work on a boat and he meets Brendan Fraser's character as like a well-to-do guy trying to help him out? What movie is that? Is that what it is? I always forget the title. I might be mixing something else up with it. Anyway, let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from Alter Henry once again. Oh, no, I already answered this. Sorry. I lied. The next one comes from Lee B. Films, who says, might be going to Chronic Con in Chicago, the Jay and Silent Bob Con. What's your favorite Kevin Smith movie or what he's acted in? I love me some Kevin Smith movies, and there's a lot of Kevin Smith movies that I wish were better than they are. The concept sounds great, but the execution, yeah. I'm talking to you, Clerks 3. That was one of my most anticipated movies of the decade, and I mean that when I say it. But what we got is a movie that I don't feel like I could ever go back and rewatch again, which really breaks my heart to say, but hey, he got to make the movie he wanted to make, so who am I? But I'm going to go with Kevin Smith movies. I'm going to go with the first Clerks. I enjoy the second one, but it definitely has sort of, my love for it's faded a bit over time. Then I'm going to go with Mallrats, definitely a staple of Kevin Smith's filmography. And then I would go with like Chasing Amy as one of them. Those are like a few of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. I sort of liked The Walrus, but then again, it's one of those movies I don't think I will ever watch again. But cool concept. All right, the next one comes from Lee B. Films, once again, who says, I met Martin Sheen in March at a con. He was one of the best celebs I've ever met. I asked him about his favorite director to work with, and he said Scorsese. Well, how could you not, man? How could you not? That's interesting. That's really cool. Did you get like an autograph or anything? That's pretty awesome. I'm really surprised that Martin Sheen does cons at his age. It just feels like an actor like that. And maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like, why are they doing cons once they've already made their millions of dollars? It just feels like he could live off of name recognition alone. But anyway, that's awesome that you got to meet him. All right. I'd like to meet Charlie Sheen. Just, but for all the wrong reasons. All right. The next one comes from Robert Giachanta, who says, Long Walk trailer looks great. Long Walk trailer? Was that? No, that was Dangerous Animals. Okay, what's Long Walk trailer? Let's check this out. Long Walk trailer. Here, I'll pop it up for you guys to check out with me. All right. Let's check this out. Okay. Oh, it's the Stephen King movie based on the novel. Okay, I've heard about this. Here, let me skim through it a little bit. Oh, is this a death march where they... So they basically do sort of like a death march? And if you stop, you die? Ooh, that looks kind of good. Okay. I'm sold on that. Yeah, I remember hearing about this a long, long time ago. Yeah, I'm in. I'm into it. I think it looks cool. What do you guys think about the Long Walk trailer? When you said that, I was thinking of A Walk to Remember, which, by the way, wouldn't that be funny if they just titled this that? A Walk to Remember? You think you're getting some Mandy Moore movie? Nah. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Marvin says, thoughts on The Conjuring 3? You know what's weird about The Conjuring 3? I remember nothing about it. The Conjuring 3. I remember Conjuring 1 and 2 pretty well. Oh, The Conjuring 3. This is the movie that came out around COVID. Yeah, this was not good. Wasn't this released straight to Max? I thought it sort of sucked. Like, it felt like a straight-to-streaming movie. That's what I remember about it. That's all I remember about it. I could not get into it. And I liked Conjuring 1 and 2 quite a bit. But Conjuring 3 I thought was really, really bad. So those are my thoughts. That's all I remember about it. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01. How's it going, Night King? It's not a live show with Night King 01, okay? John, do you think with Heat 2 coming out hopefully soon that Austin Butler should be playing Val Kilmer's role? He seems to be lobbying for it. As much as I can't stand him, it seems certain. Can you think of anyone else who could play him? A young Val Kilmer? I will say, if Val Kilmer had a son who was a doofus, who was in special needs class, I could see Austin Butler portraying that interpretation of his son, yes. And talking like Elvis for no reason. Yeah, so you see me coming around the corner, what you gonna do about it? You know, that could be a possibility. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of Austin Butler. I'm just here. That's how I feel, okay? Do I need to explain myself? No. Yeah, who could I imagine playing Val Kilmer's role in it? Or now, Austin Butler playing a young Val Kilmer, I would not want that whatsoever. That would take me out of the movie. Though I feel like because he's the next big hot thing in Hollywood, they're probably going to do it. I was going to say like a young, and he's way too old, way too old. But he's way too old. Yeah, I was going to say like a Guy, not Guy Pearce. Am I thinking Guy Pearce? No. I don't know who could play young Val Kilmer. That is a tough question. Didn't they cast somebody to play young Val Kilmer in like a movie? He looked very similar. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know who I'd cast as young Val Kilmer. I have not been keeping up with the news of Heat 2 whatsoever. When does this even come out? When is Heat 2 coming out? Okay, they have the book here. Yeah, so they have Adam Driver as a young Neil McCauley. Then you have Al Pacino's coming back. Austin Butler's he's been listed as cast in the movie, so I don't know. So we're going to have Adam Driver and Austin Butler, huh? That's what it's coming down to. I don't know. I don't feel like either of those are the right casting choices for Heat 2. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Let me know. Adam Driver more so than Austin Butler. She's got a great ass. Hoo-ha, motherfucker. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Skylar Wheelock says, have you ever watched a movie and after it ends, you immediately want to put it back on because you enjoyed it so much? If yes, what movie was it? You know, I've never had the immediate reaction to rewatch a movie right after I watched it because I just can't do that. That would almost be a bit draining for me. But that doesn't mean I couldn't watch it maybe the next day or the next day after that. I will tell you, really, to be honest with you, the movie I watched most in theaters, now I can't remember which movie it was I watched at home the most. Actually, I probably can. I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again. When Nightcrawler hit Blu-ray, I probably watched that Blu-ray in the first year like 10 times. But the movie I saw most at the theater was probably The Dark Knight. I remember seeing the movie, and it was so tonally different than Batman Begins. It was sort of jarring to me, and it wasn't quite what I expected. And I know that's a weird thing to say. You think I would immediately fall on my knees and love everything about it. And there was so much I did enjoy, but it took me watching it 2 times to truly comprehend what I was watching and to embrace the tone that The Dark Knight was. And then I went to the theater and rewatched that, I think 4 more times. I could not get enough of it. And so I think The Dark Knight's the most I've ever watched a movie in the theater, and I would say probably Nightcrawler is the most I've watched a Blu-ray at home. But I'm sure there's so many other movies that every time I come across it, I stop and watch it, like Forrest Gump or Shawshank Redemption or Tarantino movies. For example, I'll tell you another movie I've watched many of times, maybe too many times, The Hateful Eight. And that's a weird one to say because a lot of people, they always tell me, they're like, I like it, but that's just not one of my favorite Tarantino movies I could ever rewatch again. And I completely understand where you're coming from if that's you. And if that is you, let me know down below. But my thing is, the movie is so long that it's sort of fun to break up over bits and pieces throughout the week as you go to bed. It's the perfect go-to-bed movie. You watch like 45 minutes of it one night. The next night you watch another 45 minutes. And by the end of the week, you're done with a movie, and it's like, oh, that was a fun experience. I did that for probably at least once a year for the last like 5 years. That's how I watched The Hateful Eight. But I truly enjoy and embrace it, all of those 45-minute episodic episodes I make of it. All right. We got one here. It says, Ballooned Raccoon says, Endgame for me. Well, real quick, I've watched Endgame many of times as well, and I do think I prefer it over Infinity War. I just think the story's more compelling, and if you really break down what Infinity War is, and I still like it. I love that Thanos wins. I like the battles and fight scenes and action and all that fun shit. But the thing that still pisses me off about it is when Star-Lord couldn't just contain himself. It's like, hey man, count to 10 and we're going to win the universe back. I'm mad. Sorry. Like, your little weak ass punch ain't going to do anything. Go sit down and cry about it, okay? It's your fault. But anyway, that still makes me mad. But anyway, my point is, I'm going to make a movie night. I'm technically reviewing a new projector that was sent to me, but I'm doing a very special movie night in my backyard on my 20-foot inflatable screen this weekend. And the movie I'm watching is Endgame. And the conversation I want to have is, does Endgame still hold up? Is it still a classic? So look out for that video. Makano says, first time watched Jurassic Park and Gladiator, I had to go back and watch it again. Hey, fair enough. If I was watching Jurassic Park when I was maybe a little bit older than I was, and I could watch the Blu-ray over and over again, I'd probably watch it at the theater and come home and watch it again. For Jeff Goldblum's performance alone, you are gonna have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour. Yes, we are, Jeff Goldblum. Yes, we are. Stevie G says, isn't Driver being cast as De Niro's character Macaulay? If so, that's terrible casting, as Driver is 6'5" and De Niro's 5'8". I think that's on a good day. Yeah, I was confused by that as well. I thought Adam Driver would make more sense as Al Pacino than De Niro. Yeah, you're right. But I think Adam Driver does a good De Niro impression. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's a bit odd, isn't it? But maybe, just maybe, by the time Heat took place, De Niro's character shrunk 9 inches because he has a weird form of scoliosis from pulling off too many heists. I don't know. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from... We got Atur Henry once again, man, killing it with the super chats. And Atur Henry, you get the special party popper of the night. Here we go. Should I put it up? Here we go. Party popping time. That's just for you, Henry. I like the smell of party poppers. All right, here we go. Yeah, man. Figured you'd be into The Weeknd's music due to their heavy 80s influence. His acting in The Idol was horrible, but this movie looks promising. Have you listened to his album, Dawn FM? Maybe I have, but keep in mind, when I listen to music, I just click Spotify. I just type in The Weeknd. I don't read the titles of albums. I don't read what the song is called. I just listen to it. I have a weird thing with music. Movies, I remember every intimate detail about everything. But music, I sort of just consume it without learning much about it along the way. Is that weird? I don't know. Is anyone else like that? Maybe that's a slight autistic trait. I don't know, but that's how I've always been. But thanks for the question, man. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one... You guys are killing it with the questions. Here we go. Okay, here it is. Sorry. It's been a long day. Jack Iden says, we know you enjoy mowing your lawn, and I have been wondering if you watched King of the Hill, since Hank Hill notoriously loves mowing his lawn. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love me some King of the Hill. I used to watch that show religiously back in the late 90s when I lived in Georgia in elementary school. And I always loved that cast and crew. And I remember there was always rumors and rumblings of making a live action King of the Hill, which I still think would work. And I really would like to see Boomhauer played by... oh God, I just forgot his name. Ryan Gosling. Okay, it's been a very long day. Whenever you forget Ryan Gosling's name, you know you need to take a nap, okay? But anyway, I quite enjoyed King of the Hill. I liked Bobby, Peg. I liked the niece. It was a great show. I liked the comedy. And even when I was a kid, watching that middle-aged comedy style, I always, even at a young age, because I basically... grew up around my grandparents, so that's how every man in my life talked. Like, they talked about lawnmowers and edging their lawn, and as a kid I was like, this shit's boring, but now it's my life. So I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, suffice it to say, I was always a big fan of King of the Hill. I feel like watching King of the Hill right now. All right. Propane and propane accessories. One of my favorite sections at Lowe's. All right. Thanks for the question, man. The White Skull has become a member. Thanks, White Skull. Well, thanks, White Skull. Yay. Thanks for that. Bruce Cook says Boomhauer played by Austin Butler. You know what? That is actually one role I think would work for Austin Butler. He can just play Boomhauer. That's the only role he's allowed to play. Hey man, you go down that other thing, man. Plus he talks like Elvis already. He's halfway there with the Texas accent. Mad Goose says, but De Niro isn't even that old in the first Heat. I'm pretty sure he was like 50 something, man. Okay, the next one. Alex says, join Letterboxd. You rated The Social Network 2 out of 2.5 stars. Why did you not like it? I think it's one of the Fincher's best. Dude, I have a Letterboxd account, but it's not even like it wouldn't even make sense if you found it. It has the word flick pick in it, but it has like 5 other words with it because flick pick was already taken. So if you saw that probably wasn't me. I'm just letting you know. And by the way, the last time I had a Letterboxd account, I had it for like 2 hours. I rated like 1,000 movies and I never opened it again. So that if I rated it 2.5, that you probably have the wrong account. I like The Social Network. I'd probably give Social Network like a B+, A-. That's how much I enjoy the movie. And that's another one of those weird movies I've rewatched over and over throughout the years. Like there's a lot of movies that most people watch once, but I like rewatching them multiple times. It's weird. I like movies about people's lives or movies that span some time because it feels like a real adventure. You know, it feels like a journey you can go on. It's a bit more immersive to me. And I think that's one of the reasons I like movies like Forrest Gump. You truly feel like in those 2 hours, you have lived vicariously an entire another life. And when you're done with it, you're like, oh man, that was like quite the experience. It's almost like being injected into like a VR simulation. And when you watch movies that span some time periods, think about that when you watch it. Maybe it'll open up your eyes a bit differently. There's that. I just came to that conclusion now. We're getting really introspective here. Okay. Here we go. The next one comes from Theodoric. I sound stupid. Let me just read the question. What are your thoughts on Jackie Brown? You know, the thing with Jackie Brown is it was always my least favorite or one of my least favorite Tarantino movies. I would say I like it more than something like Death Proof. And every time I watch Jackie Brown, don't get me wrong, it's not like I just hate the movie. I don't. There's a lot of things I like about it. Like De Niro's good in the movie. I like the scene in the airport parking lot where he just turns around, pop. I like the lead actress. I think there's some fun to be had, but I also like Michael Keaton in the movie. It's just something about the story and the plot in that one just never felt as cohesive or memorable or solid as other Tarantino movies. But hey, if you guys like Jackie Brown, let me know down below. James Norton says Fight Club is a great rewatch. Oh, dude, that's another one. Bob's Bitch Tits. That was a saying my friends and I had throughout high school for like ever. 2 pairs of black boots, 2 pairs of black pants, 2 white t-shirts. Actually, 1 pair of black boots. And you're just too fucking blonde. All right. I love that film. It's all about Edward Norton's narration in that film truly speaks to me. When he's talking about consumerism and buying all this useless shit to fill your life up with, that is how I internally think probably half the day. And things like that are so relatable. So yeah, Fight Club's another one of those very, very rewatchable movies. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Night King 01, back at it again. Every time I think of Bicentennial Man, I think of Oliver Platt And then my mind shifts to the Three Musketeers movie. I might go watch that after this. It relaxes me. Night King, you know me, and you know I've talked about the Three Musketeers for the last 6 years of doing live streams, even though it's only been 5. And and I've told this story once, and I don't mind very quickly telling it again if you're a new viewer. I want to keep you guys up to speed on who I am and what I'm all about. I remember seeing Three Musketeers back in 1992 or 1993. I think it was 1993. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I remember watching the movie with my dad and my dad's friend, and we had a great time with it. And it was something about the early 90s vibe of these style of movies where it was just adventurous and fun and a little bit hokey. But I was a huge fan of this and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves at the time, though that's a far superior movie. But as far as the Three Musketeers go, I love it. You got Tim Curry in the film. You got Chris O'Donnell, and you have Oliver Platt. You also have Charlie Sheen, which is quite intriguing, which only adds to the nostalgia. But anyway, on the way back from watching the movie, I had some of my hard spree candy. If you don't know what spree candy is, you're absolutely insane. What are you doing? But it's this very hard round disc candy. And when you bite it, it turns into jagged glass shards. So the fact that they still make it, I don't understand, and how more people haven't died, I still don't comprehend. But I was almost a victim of spree candy that glorious day after watching the Three Musketeers. On the way back, I was eating my candy. I was probably 5 years old at the time. And one of the jagged pieces of this very dangerous spree candy, and maybe I should sue them, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, one of these jagged pieces got lodged in my throat. And keep in mind, I had a little throat at the time. I was a little boy. I was scared. I was innocent. And I couldn't breathe. And my dad's freaking out. He's driving 100 miles per hour down the road. We spin into my uncle's yard, who happened to live on this street, going like 95 miles per hour. We rush inside. They douse like a gallon of water down my throat. And then the spree candy, I think, went down the wrong pipe or something. But anyway, I lived to fight another day. But most importantly, I lived to tell the story about the first time I watched The Three Musketeers. Okay, let's go to the next question. And the next one comes from RJ or R Johnny Nutty, who says, John, do you follow UAP news? Things seem to be heating up in terms of disclosure. I do, sort of, and I'm definitely into UFOs and conspiracy theories more than I should probably admit. And I have kept up with it. Now, I've heard that there's disclosures on the way every 6 months. So who knows what's really happening? Also, I remember that video that those pilots released of those unidentified objects that were moving at like supersonic, not quite light speed, but they were doing maneuvers that no human ship can possibly do. So anyway, by all means. But then again, to assume that the government isn't doing some reverse engineering testing in Area 51, you would have to be, I don't know, a bit naive not to assume such things. But yeah, anyway, I hope to know more about the disclosures of UFOs very soon. Is there more news to it? Let me know. Skylar Wheelock says, Batman Begins turns 20 years old next month. To avoid an existential crisis, try not to think about the fact the first time with Michael Keaton was 16 years before that and now is 36 years old itself. Oh my God. Okay. So I do remember seeing Batman Begins in theaters back in 2005. And that movie, I think, changed my life. And I know that sounds corny and hokey as shit to say, but I truly mean it. It comes from a real place deep inside. And I've said this before, that was sort of the movie that made me look at movies a bit differently. The way it made me feel when I watched it, the way it just encapsulated this version of Batman that I had been waiting to see since 1992. It delivered on exactly what I wanted, and I liked that it had that Nolan-esque style to it. It wasn't your typical Hollywood blockbuster. So yeah, that was one of those movies that sort of made me want to start talking about movies on YouTube. So, man, it's like 20 years ago. Now I got to go watch it. The next one comes from Diego Bonilla, who says, "Hey Flick, do you think Michael Hearn is natty?" Well, Michael Hearn, if you don't know who that is, he's a bodybuilder on social media. He was also in the new movie Magazine Dreams, and his role in that film is phenomenal, to say the least. But as far as Michael Hearn being natty, I'm going to say no. He's definitely on like a TRT or testosterone replacement therapy. And the dude's like 50-something years old, isn't he? Or getting close to it. He looks awesome, but I think he's on something. But I do remember a long time ago he talked about the way he stays so buff is he eats duck eggs. Okay, the next one comes from James Dosier, who says, "Hi, John, I'm here." Well, hey, James, thanks for joining, buddy. Thank you for joining me. Don't you ever leave me. So thanks for joining, man. Ask some questions. Lee B. Films says, "What are you excited for, Lee Cronin's Mummy remake or Sam Raimi's Send Help?" I need to see Lee Cronin's Mummy remake trailer. I need to get the right vibe of what this is, because that would be awesome. I need to see what tone they're going for here. I love me some Sam Raimi. I don't think, is there even a trailer out for Send Help? I don't know much about that movie. Send Help? Let me look it up really, really quick. So it's coming out January 30th, 2026. Okay. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? I don't know. What is this? Okay. Send Help is an upcoming American survival horror film directed by Sam Raimi and written by Mark Swift. Okay, I don't care about that. Just give me the premise. It doesn't really have a premise. Or at least not on Wikipedia. Oh, here it is. A woman and her boss struggle to stay alive on a remote island after a plane crash. Okay, that sounds kind of cool. I feel like there was a trailer for this. Somebody help me out. Marvin says, "So you're his number one fan, huh?" Yeah, you're my number one fan, huh? Oh, God. Levy Films says Peter Jackson horror films are pukey emoji. I disagree with that. He's had a few good ones. Frighteners was fine. All right. The next one comes from James Dosier, who says, favorite Edward Norton performance. Well, we just talked about Fight Club, and that's definitely one of them. I remember the first time I saw Edward Norton in a movie, and it was called Prime Evil with Richard Gere. And I remember just thinking his performance in that was so fucking perfect. And that's when I became an Edward Norton fan. I even like Edward Norton in Incredible Hulk. There, I said it. I don't care. I like Edward Norton more as Eric Bana, or not Eric Bana, Eric the Hulk. Not Eric Bana, who played the Hulk. What is the... Oh my God, it is... My brain is mush. I'm mush now. I have to remember this. The Hulk's name is... Oh gosh. I don't remember. Oh my God, this is a sad day. I'm sorry. I failed all of you. I failed you. I failed you. Anyway... I liked his interpretation of the Hulk. Bruce Banner. Oh my God. Yes, Bruce Banner. Oh my, that was a brain fart. And I was just talking about the Hulk like 3 hours ago in a video. Let me slap my hand as punishment for forgetting that. Revoke my nerd card. Okay, I deserved that. Anyway, Bruce Banner. Favorite Edward Norton role, though? I'm just gonna go with Fight Club. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna go with that. There's so many to pick from, though. But he always plays that seedy asshole character, doesn't he? And he plays it to perfection. That's the only way I can see Edward Norton half the time. Let me ask you guys this. What's your favorite Edward Norton role? All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, I started reading the book Heat 2, which was co-written by Michael Mann. It's a good book, but it covers 4 different time periods, 1988, 95, 96, 2000. I wonder if they recast Pacino and De Niro since they are so old and they are in the flashbacks. Well, hey, if you ask Scorsese, you can de-age De Niro to make him look like 5 years younger than he is. Even though he's supposed to be like 40 years younger than he is. Anyway, maybe they'll do some de-aging. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do that because Pacino and De Niro, there's just no way they can look like they did 25 years ago. Even they just don't move the right way. Maybe if they're sitting down or something and they can do some de-aging on them. And I hope they do, but the 1988, yeah, it sounds cool. I like the time period shifts. So I haven't read the book. I'll probably just wait for the movie though. James Doshier says, what are your thoughts on Batman Forever these days? I feel like a lot of people these days liking it more than they did back in 1995. Then again, it's been 30 years since it released, as well, Val Kilmer passing. Yeah, I think Batman Forever sort of might have a slight resurgence. And I think there's a nostalgic vibe to it, but also the movie does sort of lend itself to like a younger generation of kids. Like I could see a 10-year-old liking Batman Forever because it's a little bit quirky and zany, and even though it's a Joel Schumacher movie, it sort of has like weird, bizarre Tim Burton-y fantasy vibes to it still. Now, with all that said, I still think the movie, if you step back and look at it objectively, it's pretty atrocious, right? But if what Schumacher was going for was that zany throwback 1960s Batman TV series vibe, and maybe if he has said this sort of kind of that he was self-aware when making the movie, then you could almost appreciate it. But then again, as a hardcore Batman fanatic, I say this. I say if you have the opportunity to make a $50, $60, $100 million Batman movie, can we maybe take it a bit more serious than this shit? like I understand if this was a made-for-TV Batman movie or something, I would forgive it. But yeah, it just felt like, even as a kid watching that, it wasn't quite the tone I was hoping it would be, because I grew up with Tim Burton's '89 Batman and Batman Returns, right? My tastes were a little bit dark and sophisticated at the time. So, but I understand if you have a special guilty pleasure love for Batman Forever. And hey, don't get me wrong, I could go watch it again on a rainy day, by all means. Tommy Lee Jones in that movie, you could just sense that he did not want to be there. All right, the next one comes from Fella Guy, who says, have you seen Common Side Effects, speaking of Mike Judge animation? I have not. Common Side Effects? That does sound maybe familiar. Common Side Effects, Mike Judge. Now, I like me some Beavis and Butthead, and I like Office Space quite a bit. But anyway, Common Side Effects is on HBO. And by the way, do you guys want to talk about Last of Us? Hey, did you guys hear? I'm going to be a dad. Okay. Anyway, it's about 2 former high school lab partners. They stumble upon a mushroom that can heal almost anything apart from the corporate interest of the DEA, Big Pharma, and international businessmen. That sounds kind of cool. I like that. Some social commentary on the pharmaceutical industry? Yes, please. Yeah, so it just came out. Came out a few months ago. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. Actually, thank you for telling me about that. I will probably watch that. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Ma X has become a member. Well, thanks, Ma X. Yay! I need to get that little kid sound effect. Yay! With the balloon that pops. Anyway. Atur Henry back at it again says, Dude, you got to listen to Dawn FM when you mow your lawn. Laugh out loud. Cinematic concept album, plus it's narrated by Jim Carrey. That's awesome. What are your thoughts on Gasper No Films? Jim Carrey narrates the album? What? Okay, I'll listen to it tomorrow while I'm on the lawnmower, man. So Gasper, what's the question? I'm sorry. Oh, Gasper No Films. Okay. Didn't he direct Into the Void? Right? Hang on. Let me look this up. Did I make that up? Enter the Void. Okay. Let's see what else he's done. Standalone, 98. Irreversible, yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. Thank you for telling me. Irreversible. Yeah, it's definitely one of the most unsettling movies of all time, and I've talked about it many times. I've watched it once, and it was sort of one of those things that I watched just once to be able to say I did watch it, but man, it's sort of a seedy movie you don't want to watch with your grandparents when they come over, from out of town, or maybe you do, I don't know. But yeah, definitely a very seedy movie. French film, right? Yeah. Okay, Trixie says The Last of Us girl is gross. Yeah, my things on Last of Us, don't get me wrong, I watch it every week, but it's one of those shows that we sort of just watch as we're going to bed. I will say this about the last episode, and just the last episode alone. I liked that it did feel like a video game cutscene at multiple times, and I thought there were some good concepts, but it really all goes back to the casting choices. Everyone is like miscast. Like they all feel like they should be like switched one character over, and then you'd have like better casting. And I know this conversation is so old and stale about Bella Ramsey as Ellie, and I really believe this. I think in like an alternative universe, had the games never existed, that could work. It does sort of make sense for what you're watching, but at the same time, when I see like the video game cutscenes, I'm not getting that, and I'm not even talking about someone's looks, right? I'm not even going to be that shallow right now, though I can, and I typically am. But it's not about her looks even. It's about her the way she emotes, the way that she talks, the way that her voice sounds. And for me, right now in season 2, I will say in season 1, Bella Ramsey kind of worked. When she was a bit younger, it sort of worked for young Ellie. I was like, okay, that seems like a little girl. We can live with that. But now that she's supposed to be 19 years old, I'm still seeing a little girl trying to be this adult. And it feels so forced when she cusses and tries to do all these tough girl things. And it's just like the way she talks. It's the sound of her voice that isn't working. And you can talk all you want about the conversation and debate about someone's looks or whatever, but it's not the right sound for the character. And I don't think it was the best casting choice. That's all I'm saying, right? And I think you can say that about a lot of casting choices in Hollywood. Sometimes there's always maybe somebody a little bit better for the role. And the way that you know that you get it right with the right casting is if you close your eyes, you cannot imagine anyone else playing that role. But I think when it comes to the role of Ellie, for example, I think a lot of people could probably imagine 5 or 6 other actresses who would fill the role. But I quite enjoyed Bella Ramsey as Lady Mormont in Game of Thrones. I thought that was like made for her. that was a great performance. And she was like, what, fucking 7 years old in that? I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts on The Last of Us. What do you guys think? It was cool to see Josh Beck or Peck, whatever his name is, in the episode. Dustin Rich says, are you going to name your first child Shelby Oaks Flickinger? I hope so. Middle name Stuckmanized. Dwayne Johnson is Ellie. Yeah, hey, then speaking of Dwayne Johnson, I cannot wait to watch The Smashing Machine. All right, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Taylor Goodwin, who says, thoughts on Ocean's movies. Well, if you're talking about the new ones, the remakes, not a big fan of those. But when it comes to the Brad Pitt, George Clooney ones, the first one, I think the first Ocean's film is probably one of the best remakes of all time. It has that style and that tone, that Vegas vibe. And every time I go to Vegas, or I'm going there or coming back, I always get in the mood to watch Ocean's 11. I think that is the personification of a fun heist film that just gets everything right. So I quite enjoy it. The second one, there's some cool scenes. I like the scene in the second one where whatever his name is, the French guy, and you have that awesome music playing in the background as he does that cool dance as he jumps over the lasers and does backflips to pull off a heist. I thought that was like a really memorable scene, but everything in Ocean's 2, Ocean's 3 with Al Pacino, I don't want the labor pains, I just want the baby. I thought that was okay. Like, it was an okay sequel, but not one that I really go back and ever watch. Okay, the next one comes from Austin Butler as Ellie. Now, okay, I'll live with that. Big Don says Ocean's 11 is peak cinema. Absolutely, man. Big Don also says Smashing Machine looks so good. I can't wait for it. One of my most anticipated movies of the year. It's like you got social media, but don't talk to people. What is that? Are you I don't know what that means. Are you talking to me? I'm talking to you right now. What are you talking about? I got social media just to talk to you guys. This is truly the only platform on the internet when it comes to social media that I give a shit about, are the live shows. I'll keep it real with you. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one here. Claudia Rogajon, how's it going, buddy? You think the whole new Avengers Thunderbolts gag was actually planned? I don't think it was. Warner Bros. Did the same thing with Birds of Prey when that was bombing. I do think it was planned. I really do. Because keep in mind, they were using the asterisk for a very long time with Thunderbolts, right? So it clearly meant something else. Now, as far as them sort of officially changing the name to a new Avengers, I think that's sort of what the title of Thunderbolts should have been. Because they don't really mention the term Thunderbolts. It almost feels like it has no meaning in Thunderbolts. But New Avengers actually has meaning. And I think going forward with that in the filmography of MCU movies, I think just titling it New Avengers is the better title that connects more dots together. So for me, and I talked about this in my spoiler video, I think it was actually a really smart marketing move. I think keeping the title Thunderbolts for a couple days, and then on Monday after it's released, you change it to New Avengers, and you could even make it just a subtitle or what have you if you need to. But I think that adds so much to it. It gets the interest of casual viewers intrigued, because whenever you throw Avengers into a comic book movie, people are like, okay, let's watch that shit. Thunderbolts, not so much, right? So, I do think it was planned. I don't think it was one of those situations like Edge of Tomorrow, where they originally called it Live, Die, Repeat, then Edge of Tomorrow. Originally, it was supposed to be called All You Need Is Kill, which would have been a much cooler title. But then now you have two generic titles that no one really remembers which one it is. So I still think Live, Die, Repeat's better than Edge of Tomorrow, which sounds like a generic sci-fi movie that you could watch on the Sci-Fi Channel at 3 o'clock in the morning back in 1998. And that's sort of a movie that my stepdad would have watched at 3 o'clock in the morning as he falls asleep on the couch. And then every time I had to get snacks from the refrigerator, I had to sneak by him on my tippy toes, because if I woke him up, he'd tell me to go to bed. That's where I acquired a lot of my ninja skills back in my youth, was tiptoeing to the refrigerator late at night so no one yelled at me to go to bed. I was going to stay up all night and party, man. So anyway, back to my point. I do think the title I do think the title change was planned ahead of time. I think that was a great marketing move. And plus, you got to keep in mind, if they announce that too soon, it's a little spoilerish if it comes too soon. But if it comes after the movie's out and you sort of get a better direction where the MCU's going, that does make sense. Danny Eyes says, Edge of Tomorrow sounds better. Well, I guess fuck me then. All right. And talking about that movie, I want to go watch it right now. Where's the sequel to that movie? They make sequels to everything. They're making $500 million streaming movies that no one wants to watch, but we cannot get a sequel to Live, Die, Repeat. And I refuse to call Edge of Tomorrow. Let's go to the next question. The next one comes from Brett Altop, who says, have you ever taken Adderall? No, I don't need it. I'm very good at focusing. I could probably sit at my window and look outside of it for 9 hours straight just thinking about things. No, I've never needed Adderall. Now, if you think I'm a little bit hyperactive in my live streams, that's because I am, but I want you to know this. All of my energy for the entire day, I conserve it for the 2 hours that we hang out during these live shows. I want you to know you're getting the most hyperactive, enthusiastic version of John Flickinger. Everyone else gets the angry, subdued asshole. Okay, but you guys get this version. So I don't need Adderall because after this, I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to cry in the shower. And then I'm going to lay in the fetal position in my bed, just waiting until tomorrow comes so I can wake up and drink my iced coffee and eat my griddle cake sandwich from Jimmy Dean. So no, I don't need Adderall. What I need is a vacation and a massage. Let's go to the next question. But thank you for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Okay. But I would take some Adderall. Don't get me wrong. I'd take it. The next one comes from John. I have a tough question. You have a kid. What are the first 5 movies you show them to introduce them to the world of cinema? And what order do you show them in? Also excluding Over the Top. All right. We got a $10 super chat here. So that gets a party popper. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to up the budget here on the Flick Pick channel. Actually, this is the John Flickinger channel, but I'm trying to up the budget nevertheless. We now have pyro, okay? We have graphics, we have pyro. I'm doing everything I can. I wish I could just be slightly more entertaining, but we'll get there one day. The first 5 movies I would show my kid, Clark. And you got to keep in mind, let's just pretend this is a kid who is maybe like 10 years old who can watch a movie and slightly comprehend it and enjoy things about it, right? It's not like a 7 or 5-year-old. So I would probably show younger kids more animated Pixar movies, things like that, classic Disney, you name it, or even classic live action. But if I had a 10-year-old kid, the fundamentals that he is going to watch and grow up with, I'm going to put Terminator 2 Judgment Day in there. This is what an action movie is. Then we'll watch the Star Wars franchise and say this is what a space opera fantasy movie is. And then I would probably watch something like, you said I can't say Over the Top, but then you got to throw Jurassic Park in there because all kids like dinosaurs. So that's a fun action-packed movie with some charisma and charm. And then for my next 2 movies, I almost want to go a little bit dark and bleak in there because the thing about whenever I have kids, I want to formulate them to be tough and very aware of the world that they live in. I want them to have good taste. I want them to be articulate. But most importantly, I want them to be well-rounded people. And I feel like if you baby children too much, they grow up to be, I don't know, what's the term? Soft. Okay, so I might, is 10 years old too young to do this? It might be. I think it is. Is it? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Because I was watching it when I was 10 years old. I want to show my kids a movie like Silence of the Lambs. And hear me out for a second. I think I think exposing a young child, this is going so off the rails, but just hear me out for a second. I hope this is what you guys come to the live streams for, this weird, nonsensical shit that I spew out. But anyway, I feel like sometimes you have to expose young children to the harsh realities of what society really is. And in Silence of the Lambs, you have serial killers, you have people who abduct other people and put them in a well down in their basement and want to cut off their skin and make a lampshade out of nipples. But I think if you expose those realities and you impose that fear into a child, they'll grow up being a bit more cautious in life. And for example, hey, you better not move furniture in the back of a van of a creepy guy because you'll get abducted. I think that is a great life lesson to instill into a child. I think that's a valuable learning experience. And the last movie is going to be over the top. I don't care what you say. All right. What movies would you guys show your, let's just say, for example, 10-year-old kid? What are the 5 fundamentals? And there's a lot of funny, hokey shit I would love to show my kids one day too. Like Waterworld. I think every 10-year-old kid would enjoy that movie. Like, why is he drinking his own pee? Because he's a fish. Nova Sonic says John is the worst parent or the best. Blu-ray Addict says I watched American Pie when I was 5. Well, that's cool. I remember watching the Kevin Bacon movie Sleepers when I was like 9. Wing says, will you reenact the lotion scene for your kids? You know what? That is the one scene I'll make them squint their eyes. You don't want to see Buffalo Bill tucking in a Poland. James Doshier says Back to the Future. Yes, that was the other. I was genuinely looking for that. That's the next movie I was searching for. You're right. Back to the Future, the entire trilogy, I think is one of those fundamental cinematic experiences every young kid should be exposed to. Absolutely. That and Tremors. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Jake Blair, who says, 1995 to 2010, I miss thee. You're talking about movies from that time period or just life in general? Because, hey, both of those things were... A lot of things happened in life during those 15 beautiful years. I'll tell you what I miss most, especially in terms of YouTube. I miss 2014 to like 2016. I just thought those were 3 very carefree years on YouTube. And no matter what I did, no matter what I was doing, it's like, I don't know, you got viewership. And you didn't have to make like 14 social media posts to promote it. I don't know. I kind of miss when things were a bit more simple. Can I be honest with you guys? I think I genuinely do not like TikTok and Instagram. If they just went away forever and the only video content we could consume was YouTube, I just think the world would be a happier place. I really think long form content is far superior. Because it doesn't just pop up. It's not just fed to you. You have to earn it. You have to go out of your way to watch it. You have to click play. And then you have to watch more than 12 seconds of a video. I don't know. That's how I feel. Maybe I sound like an old man at this point, but does anyone else understand what I'm saying? But yeah, also a lot of good movies between 1995 and 2010 as well. Skylar Wheelock says, John, I'm more of a Goodfellas fan. What, if any, is the lesson in the movie Casino? The casino is do not marry the wrong woman. And I'm talking about Sharon Stone in that movie. I think that's the lesson there. But also it's based on true events. So, I don't know. I think that adds a little flavor to it. I just like the classic Vegas backdrop. I like De Niro's character in that film. I like the when they're in the casino and Danny oh my God, I wanted to say oh gosh, my brain. What am I thinking of? gosh, I almost said Danny DeVito. I meant Joe Pesci. I was like, he's short, he makes weird sounds. That's when you know it's been a long day. Anyway, Joe Pesci in that movie is just chewing up the scenery in that. I think that's one of the best performances he's ever given, besides being one of the wet bandits in Home Alone. Oh yeah, and prime Sharon Stone, absolutely. Watching that as a young boy and when she's walking around, prancing around in go-go boots, oh. And then keep in mind though, my first Sharon Stone experience was Basic Instinct when my family rented it on VHS. Oh yeah. All right. The next one comes from Josh Lopez. How's it going? Do you have a favorite comfort movie? Mine would be Almost Famous. Hey, I can understand that. And I like movies that have a time period setting. I think they're far more relaxing. As far as like comfort food movie goes, oh man. Around the holidays, it really is the movie Hook. I know we talked about that earlier, but Hook is definitely one of those. Home Alone has always been one of those comfort food movies. Another one I quite enjoy is the original Ninja Turtles movie from, is it 90, 91? But yeah, that's another one of those comfort food movies. Back to the Future, like we just talked about, would be pure comfort food. Yeah, those are a few, but I'm trying to think of something a little bigger than that. Oddly enough, and this is sort of an odd answer, but one of my favorite comfort food movies are Master and Commander, because it has that time period setting. It takes place all on this Navy ship, and it's just so compelling, and the characters are great. And if you've never seen it, please go watch Master and Commander right now. And I think it's getting a better 4K release very soon, because the Blu-ray release is a little bit muddy, and I think they could clean it up quite a bit. But man, oh man, that's one of my comfort food movies. It just, I don't know, it's slightly depressing at times, but I just find it so relaxing being on this boat, this ship, I don't know. Maybe that's a weird one. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one would be V-Chet, who says Furiosa and Warfare were the best movies of 24-25. I liked Furiosa. I don't know if it would be... it's definitely in my top 10 from that year. I liked The Substance quite a bit. But yeah, both good movies. Warfare, I would have to disagree. I think that almost would have been better as a limited series had they stretched it out and added more substance into it, because I think there was a multitude of other stories and situations that you could fit into that concept. But watching it as a 2-hour movie, it was fine. Don't get me wrong. I was entertained by it. But it just sort of felt like I was hoping there'd be a bit more to it. But not one of my favorite movies from the director. But as far as like that being, I don't think that's one of the better movies. But 2025 just began, and there's a few good movies so far this year, right? I mean, here's my question to you guys. What has been your favorite movie of 2025 so far? If I had to pick one, Magazine Dreams is going to be in that conversation. What else has come out this year? Something else came out that Sinners. Sinners would be in that conversation for 2025. And by the way, on a quick side note, I do have a Sinners review. I made it. I recorded it. And I just never had time to edit it. And I'm debating if I should just put that together and put it out. Because I feel like that's one movie I need to talk about. But that's the thing about YouTube. If you don't make a video the day it's released, the next day nobody cares. Okay, let's go to the next one. Skylar Wheelock says, name an actor you only like in one movie. I was going to say Jared Leto, but there's been more than one movie I liked him in. I'm trying to think, maybe, is there an Austin Butler movie that I do like? There's Elvis. Oh, you know what it is? I don't like Austin Butler, but I like Austin Butler in the movie Dune 2. There you go. I like that. That's the best answer I can give you off the top of my head. Q Review says Magazine Dreams has to be the best acting for sure. Absolutely. That dude made me believe he was truly on the spectrum and dedicated to bodybuilding. Thunderbolts or Brave New World? Come on, no. I've not really seen a classic yet the last couple of years. Did you watch Sinners? Companion's definitely another one. If I had to pick like my favorite comedy thus far this year, it'd definitely be Companions. Big Don says I liked Mickey 17, not the movie of the year. Fair enough. Wahlberg and The Departed. Okay, I thought the question was name an actor you don't like, but they're in a movie you do like. Oh, so you just don't like Mark Wahlberg, then I take it? Hey, what are you doing? Say hi to your mother for me. What's your problem? And no, I'm talking to the other guy who has the problem. All right, let's go to the next one here. Brandon Robert Kurzges says, how do you think the film industry will change? Well, are we talking about just generally speaking? That really depends on a multitude of things. If theaters die, the majority of movies that we see will all look like streaming movies do now. And I think the standards over time will lower and lower and lower, but you'll always have niche studios that want to still make quality, highbrow entertainment occasionally, but just the way blockbusters are being made, they're very few and far between, and everything else that's not a blockbuster has to be just a straight up comic book IP movie. So the fact that we still occasionally get movies like Top Gun Maverick or movies like, which was an IP movie in all fairness, but we're also getting the upcoming F1 movie, which is from the same director, Joseph Kosinski. And the fact that we still get movies like that gives me hope. And I'm hoping that we continue to get those big cinematic films. But right now, I would say the industry itself is maybe not in a great place, but I will say that we still get a handful of great movies every year. We get a lot of bad ones. We really do. But you have to keep in mind, it feels like we're getting more movies now than we ever have. And there's still like hidden gems throughout the year. And every couple of years, we get one of those great movies. So I still have hope in humanity. But in the future, that's a scary thing because it feels like right now society is pushing back on AI, and eventually that's going to get to the point where it is top notch. It is good enough for the big screen. And when AI gets to that point, anything's possible, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. So that's going to be a weird thing because think about this. Think about if ChatGPT gets to the point, and we'll just say in 20 years, because technology always expedites year after year. So what the fuck? What am I talking about? I'm talking about AI all of a sudden. Anyway, my point is, imagine going in there and literally copy and pasting one of your favorite novels. And now you give it like, I don't know, 3 minutes to render, because I'm sure the processing speed in 20 years will be that good. And it will render you a live action adaptation of your novel that you copy and pasted into Chat GPT. Think about that just for 1 second. And when that becomes a reality, well, guess what? If everyone can make movies, even if they suck and they're shit, and maybe they don't look perfect at times, I just feel like that's what people will want to consume. Or maybe they'll want to consume the movie I made in 7 minutes, by typing some prompts in. And that is a terrifying future. Now, it's interesting, and that would be a cool niche to have in reality, but I would rather not have that niche if there's a possibility of that taking over and allowing artists to make movies that we consume and sit back to. And we learn something along the way rather than generate what we want to see. So those are my thoughts on cinema and where it's going. Did that even answer your question? I hope it did. Makano says Top Gun Maverick used AI and special effects perfectly. Top Gun Maverick, did it even use AI, or did it use very, very marginal uses of it? I don't think AI's inherently, well, I do think it's inherently bad, but I think in the right dose, if it helps do something a little bit better and tweak something and polish something just right, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think at some point, people are just going to get lazy and just overutilize it. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Big Don says, need to go back to more film cameras and the old look of movies. I've been saying that since digital took over, and I just don't feel like the new generation, or majority of the new generation of film goers or film enthusiasts, I just don't feel like they care. And it's all just, and the thing is, you have to be very visually sensitive to certain things, the way certain things look. And I think I am. I'm a bit OCD with my movies and the way things look. So just watching Sinners on film made that look like a big budgeted real movie when you watch it on the screen. You could feel the grain, even though it was very slight, because modern day film cameras and film stock are far superior than they've ever been. But you could just feel this richness to it, this life to it. And watching it, I was thinking, you know what? Just the fact that this is shot on film elevates this movie. Like, if I was going to give this a B, I would give it a B plus, just because it's shot on film and it adds to the craftsmanship of the movie. So I agree with you on that. Gilliam LaBelle says, hey, John, favorite Jack Quaid movie, Companion or Novocaine? I'd probably go with Companion. I thought Novocaine was fine, but sort of a very instantly forgettable beat-em-up movie. But it had a great concept. You don't feel pain? That's kind of cool. And he almost eats off his own tongue every time he wants to take a bite of ice cream. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Haley Joel Osmond's face. That might be the best username I've ever encountered. Here we go. How old were you when you stopped getting asked for your ID? When I bought alcohol. Or you mean when you bought alcohol? Or when you, yeah, anyway. You know what? I've always looked kind of younger than I am. And I would say up until like 4 years ago, I still occasionally get asked, absolutely. But up until like a couple years ago, I would say, because I started getting some more gray hairs and a little bit more scruffy, and maybe they could see the life force draining from my eyes. But up until a couple years ago, it was pretty norm. Okay. The next one comes from Haley Joe Osmond's face once again. Do you keep your bowling pin underwear that your bowling teammate gave you 20 years ago? No, I do not. No, I do not. I do not even wear that style of underwear anymore, nor did I keep that pair of underwear very long. And not to get too deep with this story, but back in 2007, 2008, I was on a bowling team, and it was me and my 3 best friends, and it was a 5-man bowling team. So there's only 4 of us, so we sort of randomly got placed with this very oddball individual. And we'll just call him Andy. And Andy, we found out, was a crazy, neurotic gay man who told us the most unspeakable stories about encounters he would have. And one day, Andy gave me a pair of underwear with bowling pins on them and bowling balls. And I liked Andy, so I took his gift. But I never wore it, and I want to say I did throw them in the trash maybe shortly afterwards. So there's that. Can we go to the next story? Okay. The next one, the next question comes from Haley Joe Osmond's face, who says, can you do an impression of Nick Nolte as Gary Busey in Rookie of the Year? Okay. gosh.
Go out there, kid, and they call you Rocket. And you throw the heat.
I'm Gary Boucher. I don't know. I don't even know what that was. Please forgive me. That's it. But Rookie of the Year is a great, great movie. And since you asked 3 great questions right in a row, I got to give you this. So here's a party popper for your dedication and your commitment here to this channel. So Haley Joel Osment's face, you get a party popper. 3, 2, 1. Oh. Some of the powder went up my nose. Ooh. Ooh. Hoo-ha! All right. That was a violent party popper. I liked that one. Okay, thanks for the question, man. Thank you so much, Haley Joel Osment's face. Oh, gosh. We have a lot more questions above this. Okay, I'm 26 minutes behind on the questions. I'm going to talk much, much faster to answer these and catch up with you guys. So here we go. Atur Henry says, Irreversible is great, but have you seen Casper No's Climax? Takes place in one location. Great dancers get their sangria punch spiked by LSD. Ooh, I bet that turns into a violent night of unconsenting. I have not seen it, but it sounds awesome. SJ Run says, does your wife ever get weird looks when she tells people her husband is a YouTuber? Not really. I think in this day and age, everyone's doing something on social media. It's like 1 in every 3 people is doing something at some point. So not really. A lot of people kind of think it's cool. Like, for example, she works with a guy, and I think he might watch my live streams occasionally. If you do, how's it going, man? So no, not really. It's just sort of standard this day and age. Like 10 years ago, yeah. You sort of like, what? So he still lives at home and plays video games in his underwear? It's like, nah. No, he lives in his own house, but he still makes videos in his underwear. Okay, got it. Haley Joel Osment's face says, watch Edmund 2005. It's like falling down if Michael Douglas's character went to prison and got assaulted in the beehole. What is it? Watch Edmund 2005? Ooh, I think... Now, keep in mind, I love me a good prison movie. The Phase 2005 Edmund most likely refers to the film. The film was written, blah, blah, blah. Came out in 2006. And it revolves around a Jetta. What? Stars William H. Macy? Huh. Okay, that sounds cool. Why do I not know about Edmund? Why do I not know about this movie? I will look into this. I will. Is it good? Do you guys like it? I'll check it out. Dustin Rich says it's a real nice thing what you did for that boy in that tank, Tommy. Thanks, man. Nice emoji, Gilliam LaBelle. Thank you for that. It's still at my nose. I can taste it now. Anyway, the next one comes from Dustin Rich, who says, have you ever made the elusive Megalopolis on the SNES version of SimCity, John? I wasted so many hours trying to no avail. You know what's funny about Megalopolis, the movie with Adam Driver? In the club. I never watched the movie yet. I haven't watched it. I don't think I can ever bring myself to do it, which is really unfortunate. But I never tried to do that. I did play SimCity quite a bit as a kid, and I would just sit there and make a town, and then the toxic waste would take over, and a storm would come through, and I'm like, I'm done. But my wife plays Sims, and she just builds houses for 2 weeks straight, and then just quits the game. The next one comes from Brett Altop, who says, what do you think that new movie Weapons is about? You know, we talked about this last week on the live show, and I'm not quite sure. When you watch the trailer, the immediate thought that went through my head was this is sort of like a social commentary on school shootings or something along those lines. And I still feel like there's going to be like a vague reference to that in this movie. It just gives you that weird vibe. But I couldn't tell you how off the rails it's going to go. All I can do is tell you this. I think it's a phenomenal trailer that I still don't know what's going on, and that's very rare, so I cannot wait to check it out. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't even want to look into it or guess. I refuse to read any Reddit forums. Claudia Rogajon, how's it going again? I'm not going to lie, it was kind of heartbreaking to see Josh Peck as a staple of my childhood go out the way he did in The Last of Us, especially that violently. Question, you ever watched Drake and Josh? Watched it recently, surprisingly still funny. You know, that came out at a time, I think, in like the early 2000s, and keep in mind, I was going from middle school to high school, so watching Drake and Josh at that point just was like not the thing to watch. So no, I think I was just in a weird transitional time in my young adolescence. So I wasn't really into it. Wog Review says, been a fan since I was 11. Now I work as a medic in Sydney, Australia. I listen to your streams while working on cars. Love you, Jonathan. Well, I love you too, man. Much love to Down Under over there. Well, thanks, Wog. Thank you so much, man. And good luck. You said you're a mechanic. Did I say medic? I'm sorry if I said medic. I meant mechanic. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I like to wrench on cars every once in a while. Not too much, though, because I barely know what I'm doing. But I did just buy a scanner to clear a check engine light for a car that we had. So... And by the way, on a side note, speaking of being a mechanic, I did work at Jiffy Lube for 4 months when I was a senior in high school. And I like to say, if you got your oil changed at Jiffy Lube in the year 2006, it's not my fault, okay? I kind of knew what I was doing. All right. But my best advice to you is, don't ever go to Jiffy Lube. But thanks for the question, man. The next one comes from Night King 01 again, who says, I'm putting in my recommendation for this stream. F for the Fake by Orson Welles. I thought it would be boring, but it was really entertaining. It's essentially a docudrama about two fraudsters and how they swindled people. But hey, watch The Driver first. F for Fake by Orson Welles. I've never seen that. What year did that come out in, man? 1940? What? F for Fake. Oh, it's from 1973, huh? A documentary about a fraud and fakery. Oh man, you know what? Don't they? Is this a Criterion movie? I don't know why that cover looks familiar to me. I've never seen this. Has anyone seen F for Fake? John, can you watch the Doctor Doom and Thanos clip, please? Is it real or is it like fan made? What is it? Somebody tell me. Bruce Cook says, were you a mechanic like Jason Statham? What's the job? No. Jason Statham didn't work at Jiffy Lube, though it would have been much more hilarious if he did. Gilliam LaBelle says Megalopolis is so bad. Yeah, I don't plan on watching it anytime soon. There's so many other things to do in life. All right, the next one comes from Robert Giacinta, who says, Soul Clown in a Cornfield tonight. Pretty good, but it feels like every slasher now feels like a Scream ripoff. Yeah, you know, I sort of wanted to check that out. It looked like a fun B throwback horror film. But also, I'd rather just, that's the type of movie I'd rather watch on the projector in my backyard. So maybe I'll check it out at some point. But I've heard people say they like it, but it's not one of those movies you have to watch when it comes to slashers. The next one comes from, were you a beekeeper too? No, but I was a pizza delivery driver. And that's the next Jason Statham movie. I want him to be a pizza delivery driver. Where's the tip? I'll give you the tip. Let's go to the next one. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings. How's it going? Hey, Johnny, you're a child and you can go back in time. What top 5 rated R movies would you sneak into? P.S. Can you do an Arnold voice, Commando, and Predator? Do it now. I'm not a pervert. I just wanted a Turbo Man doll. So which movies would I go back in time and watch that are rated R? Ooh, I don't know. Striptease, Terminator, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like big rated R movies that were older that I'd want to see. I'm sure the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, definitely. Rated R. Now, if you're saying when I'm younger, let me think here. Because up until I was like 16, I had to sneak into rated R movies sometimes. And back in the day, my local movie theater, what they would do when people actually gave a shit and cared, they would actually stand out in front of each auditorium, and there'd be like a security guard or a cop nearby if it was a rated R movie checking tickets. That's how like crazy theaters were back in the day. And do you guys remember walking into movie theaters back in the early 2000s and people were just like loud and screaming and running around the place? I don't know. Let me change this. I was going to Passion of the Christ early. Oh, I'll tell you a few that I actually had to sneak into. I remember the first Jackass movie. I want to say Joyride we had to sneak into. What else did I sneak into? Let's see. Oh, probably The Ring I had to sneak into. That was another one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't think I had to sneak into that one. Yeah, movies like Dawn of the Dead. It was pretty much every rated R movie back in the early 2000s I would have to sneak into. Now nobody cares. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Alejandro, who says, my dark humor bone is beyond repair. I kept laughing at the side delt reference in Magazine Dreams. Also, isn't it ironic how the side delts are the hardest to grow naturally? However, enhanced it with pop-outs is a strong indicator of PEDs. However, okay. Yeah, well, all of your androgen receptors are usually in your traps and your shoulders, and most of mine are in my traps. If I work out for like 2 months, that's the first thing that just pops up. I start losing my neck. But beyond that, the reference in Magazine Dreams was pure gold. That's the kind of comedy I like, where he's talking about his muscles and he's just so unaware of what he's doing. Phenomenal. And once again, if you guys have not watched Magazine Dreams, please check it out. I cannot recommend the movie enough. Okay, the next one comes from Wag Review says, tell the story where your friend had a revolver. My buddy back in high school, we're not even talking about movies anymore. This is just story time. Welcome. My buddy found a gun back in high school, and he was messing around in a field one day, and it was a revolver, and we shot all the bullets out of it. He shot it like 10 times. It was empty. He put it to his head. It went click. He pointed it in the air, and then it went off. Scary stuff. So anyway, that could have ended so differently. I think back on things like that, and I'm like, life could have been so different that day. It's terrifying. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one, it's funny that the next one is this. Daddy Needs to Chill says, pop me like one of your party poppers. That's funny, man. These are valuable assets, okay? We have to save these for a special question. And I think one of those are coming up very soon. Gilliam LaBelle says, have you ever seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist? It's kind of like a spoof movie using 70s martial arts scenes as the background. So damn funny. I have seen that. I watched that I rented it from the video store. And I remember at my video store, they would put all the movie posters in this bin when they were done using them. And I took that movie poster from the free bin and I put it up on my wall, and it was probably there for like a year, but I didn't even like the movie. So I don't know why I put it on my wall. And thinking back on it, I'm so angry at myself to waste wall space, precious real estate, with the Kung Pao movie poster. What was I thinking? So I have seen it, but I remember just not even really caring about it. And that was when I was probably 12, 13 years old. The next one comes from Ian Rapash, who says, "Hey, John, been watching since 2011. I was 15, now I'm 30. Oh my God, what happened? What happened? What a time. Have you seen The Wailing from South Korea, one of the star horror films of the last 20 years? The Wailing from South Korea? No, but let me give you a special party popper for that glorious question. Are you ready? All right. That's for you, man. Now, what is the Wailing from South Korea? No, I have not seen this. The Wailing, South Korea. Okay, it's from 2016. Villagers investigate a mysterious new stranger and the killings that arrive with him. There is a mass hysteria as loved ones are taken and killed. Okay, have you guys seen this? Is it good? Let me know. Chime in the chat. Trixie says nice legs. Well, thank you for that. I'll take what I can get. Okay. My legs look like broomsticks that were dipped in glue and rolled around on the floor of a barber shop. Let's go to the next one here. I haven't seen the movie, though. It looks awesome, man. And thanks for watching for 15 years. Well, here's to another 15. I will truly be Clint Eastwood. Okay, here it goes. Night King 01 says, since Beekeeper 2 is moving forward at Amazon MGM, this is your incentive to watch the first one, laugh out loud. Jokes aside, it has a good director attached to it. They're actually making a Beekeeper Part 2. This is real. This is real life. What else could they have to say? Okay. I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it, man. I just don't know if I can do it. I don't feel like the movie Beekeeper needs an hour and a half of my time. I feel like you could condense it into a series of clips within 3.5 minutes. And I'm sure somebody has on YouTube. But nevertheless, man, thanks for the question. Sean Cook, thanks for the super chat, but no question. Dustin Rich says, do you like Indian food? I have had some decent Indian food. It was very spicy. It's mostly like curry type food, but I've had some really good stuff. But the last time I went to an Indian restaurant, the food was so hot that I couldn't even eat it. It felt like I was eating liquefied mace that you would spray in someone's face when they try to kidnap you. That's what this curry tasted like. Like it was hurting my face to eat it. It didn't even have a taste to it. The taste was hurt. But thank you for that. Ballooned Raccoon says, bro, you say some wild shit. This is the time I let it out. This is all the things I think about all day, all pent up and bottled up. And this is where I release it upon all of you. And I thank you for consuming it. Dustin Rich says, burgers or pizza? There's nothing better than a tasty burger. But pizza's typically my go-to. I eat pizza 2 times a week. I'm not proud to say that. I just do. But man, I you know what? If I'm starving, I would rather much have the perfect cheeseburger than a really good pizza. I might go with the burger on that one. But it really depends on the vibe and the mood. Sometimes you just want pizza because it just feels easier to eat. Uh, Daddy Needs to Chill says, John, what movie did your wife hate? I'm trying to think if there's a movie I like that she necessarily hates. She really was not into magazine dreams anywhere near what I was, but fair enough. But she does have good taste in movies. Okay, the next one comes from Landon Lee, who says, John, what place/thing would you bring back from your nostalgia, regardless if you could work in today's society? If it could work in today's society, I'd bring back Blockbuster or Toys R Us. So which thing would I bring back for nostalgia purposes? Yeah, if you could somehow make video rental stores work, I think that's cool. It's just, you know what I would like there to be more of, or maybe bring back? Do you remember when the movie theater felt different? It felt like a movie theater. I don't know. I miss that classic feel of movie theaters. I want more of that. The other thing I always would like more of are arcades. No matter how old I get, I still think there's something cool about walking into an arcade and hanging out. I still think it gives you like this certain feel, you know? I don't know. I guess those are a few things. We'll go with those. Toys R Us would be cool, but keep in mind, I'm in my late 30s. I don't know how useful it would be right now, but if I did have kids, absolutely. Dustin Rich says, did you hear about Jeremy Renner being offered half of his pay for Hawkeye season 2 to come back? What an insult. So yeah, Jeremy Renner, when he was asked to come back for Hawkeye season 2, they offered half of his salary that he initially got in season 1. But I don't know the details of this. I did hear this statement when I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and I'm not quite sure. He says he was going to do more work, but was he going to be there for the entire season doing more work, or was he going to be there for half the season, sort of just being a supporting character? I'm not quite sure, but I will say this. I get where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, it's hard for me to feel sympathy or sorrow for a dude that who turned down $7 million instead of $15 million to do 8 episodes of a TV show. Okay, let's all just back up here for a second. Okay, okay, keep in mind. He was only going to get $7 million. Oh no. So in that sense, I don't care, but also you have to understand from Disney's perspective, and I know they're this soulless corporation, but hey, listen, hear me out for a second. These Marvel TV shows are so over budgeted that they're not even worth making for what they get in return. So when you're spending $100 million on a Hawkeye season 2 or whatever, that's utterly insane for the viewership that those episodes actually get. So I really think their budgets should come down, and along with it, I think the actors' salaries should be aligned with it in the realm of reality. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. I think Google AdSense should pay double what it pays. Those are just some of my thoughts. Gilliam LaBelle says, true, it's still a lot of money. Yeah, it is. And the thing is, dudes like that have 20 other things they can go star in. So, hey, if that's all they wanted to offer, then I guess don't take the role. But at some point, how much can you spend on Disney Plus series that no one talks about? Yeah, I'll play Hawkeye. So there you go. Robert Giacinto says, when you were younger, if one of your buddy's moms wanted to hook up, would you have done it? Oh, absolutely. I could tell you guys some crazy stories. They don't technically involve me, though a few of them kind of do. But things like that happened in my high school. Okay. All right. Claudia Rogajan back at it again. Since we're talking about your younger years, I didn't get to ask you this during your birthday stream, but you mentioned you and your buddies had death wishes when you were in high school. What was the closest you came to death during this time? Well, by death wish, I just mean you feel like you're going to live forever and you take some very crazy risks. Oh, I'm not proud to say this, but I had a lifted SUV in high school. And the thought of actually crashing and dying was not a reality to me at this time. So I would just drive over train tracks that were at a 80-degree angle going 75 miles per hour and just land on the other side and bounce. I would do crazy unspeakable things like that often. That was just like a Tuesday night for me. And I remember sometimes we would go off-roading and I had like 12 fog lights on top of my vehicle. And we would go through these trails that were this wide, going like 50 miles per hour, where they're covered in mud and you're just sliding head first at like a giant tree. And at the last second, you kind of turn before you hit it. Just crazy things like that. And now I'm like, no, if I could wear 2 seat belts, I would. Okay, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Night King 01, who says, Guy Ritchie is directing Roadhouse 2. This might actually be a positive for the movie. We need some tongue-in-cheek humor with that film, and he can deliver. You know, I've been a fan of a few Guy Ritchie movies over the last couple of years. I thought The Gentleman was good. I know a lot of people like it, but I didn't love it. At least Guy Ritchie will bring a bit more style and tone. And keep in mind, I think Roadhouse, the Jake Gyllenhaal Roadhouse, that was directed by the same director of Edge of Tomorrow, wasn't it? So, which is, I think it was just a bad script. And I think the setting was all wrong. Something about Southern Florida as the setting for that movie, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know why. But anyway, I would be curious to see a Guy Ritchie Roadhouse movie. And maybe the next Roadhouse story takes place in Europe or Germany. Now, I could see that being a violent situation that would almost feel like it belongs in reality. And that could be kind of cool. I don't know where it's taking place, couldn't tell you, but at least they have a director that has some style. So I'm curious to check it out. Big Don says, I would love if Marvel made a live-action Spider-Man TV show with Holland, but they're never going to make it happen. Well, there is the upcoming Amazon Spider-Man series with Nicolas Cage in the 40s or 20s or whatever it is. Sort of a film noir Spider-Man. So that's coming out. You're getting something Spider-Man, big budget, plus Nicolas Cage. And by the way, does anyone know when that is coming out? Blu-ray Addict says, John, have you watched the Long Walk trailer? We actually did watch it together earlier on in the stream. I thought it looked pretty cool. I forgot that was a Stephen King novel. What is Jamie Lee Curtis returning to? Oh, I wonder how Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back because they wrapped her up in the story. What are we, Jamie Lee Curtis and what, Halloween? I don't. Dustin Rich says, have you ever watched Doctor Who? I'm considering getting into it. I never got into Doctor Who. Never got into it, man. I would like to snuggle with you on the couch, though. Gilliam LaBelle says, still in disbelief that Guy Ritchie directed Aladdin. Yeah, I am too. What a movie that didn't need to exist. Let's see. The next one comes from, I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then I'm going to go take a shower and cry myself to sleep. Gilliam LaBelle says, speaking of Guy Ritchie, thoughts on his King Arthur movie. I watched that like once in theaters, and it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. And I remember years later trying to rewatch it again, and I just could not get into it. So those are my thoughts. Guy Ritchie for me is very hit or miss. Like even the Sherlock Holmes movies, I sort of found them like they almost put me to sleep when I watched them. I know some people love them, and I get it, but for me, they're so gloomy and dark, and they just, first I will take his arm, and then I will turn it, and then I will back up 3 feet, and then he will thrust his sword into me. Like, I just, like, listening to it, my eyes start closing. Does anyone else get tired when you watch the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movies? I don't know. I think they're well made, but I don't know. They always made me tired. Stevie G says, John, are you going to feel weird reviewing Shelby Oaks? Will you review it honestly? Oh, yeah, I'll absolutely review it honestly. But at a certain point, my thing will be, I will be a bit more constructive with my criticism. But I'll be honest about it. But, at the end of the day, man, he made a movie. So, it exists. So I think that alone is cool. But yeah, I'll definitely review it. And I can't wait to talk about it. I really can't. So maybe I'll just more so talk about it. I don't know. But it's definitely one of those situations. It's like, well, how do you kind of get rid of the bias? How do you separate the art from the artist? It's one of those things. But I'll be honest. When am I not honest with you? When do I pull my punches? The Angry Gamer says, what's in your pocket? A web shooter or something? That's a good one. Okay. I think I'm going to wrap up the live show right there, guys. But I do want to say thank you guys for hanging out for 2 hours, talking about movies, talking about life, and popping off some party poppers. But nevertheless, thanks for watching, guys. And like I said 2 times already, go check out the brand new video over on the Flickpick channel. I talk all about Thunderbolts, spoilers, post-credit scenes. It's a good time. Check that video out if you want to, or just please do it. What else do you have to do? Or go give it a like. And we have one more question. I knew this would happen. I knew Claudio Rogajon would pop in at the last second. Here it goes. You mentioned Jason Statham after seeing both Crank movies again. That man is genuinely genius comedic actor. If you don't believe me, watch the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy. He had me dying laughing the whole time. It's a fun time. Oh, Jason Statham is funny. He doesn't need to try to be funny. I mean, a guy that's that charismatic and charming that can do roundhouse kicks is going to make me chuckle. What's that? Yeah, I had nothing else to say to that, but I would laugh if he just said that. I like Jason Statham. I think he's in a lot of mediocre movies where he just plays the same character in every single one of them with a slightly different occupation. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys next week with a brand new live show and a very early review, our first reaction of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. I will probably have that first reaction video up Monday night, so look out for that. It'll be a very late night in Chicago. But if you guys are going to that screening in Chicago, I hope to see you there. Say hi. Take care. Have a good night. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.